We are live. Oh boy. This is where I got to start working on whittling a little bit again, just to set the mood.
Yes, exactly. Friends are joining.
I feel like this is. I feel like everyone has a very like particular kind of camp music feeling. Like there's the
Mm.
sing-along type group where like somebody's brought the guitar,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're gonna sing. And then there's the other one where it's like, no, we're gonna play our like party jams all night. And there's
Oh,
that group of
mhm.
people.
Yeah. Yes. Like, let me bring my, yeah, put me off to the woods. I need to feel campy and I'm not camping. I'm more of like a Ben Howard kind of
Gotcha. That's nice, see. That's really.
best, singer-songwriter. Yes.
Uh, oh, aw, people are here. This is nice.
I know.
Hi, friends.
Today I brought my camp snack.
Oh, nice.
Hmm. I even found a stick. And
Mm?
I'm debating whether I should roast it. I brought a candle also. See, I got my whole
Oh, I
yeah.
feel like that's a thing that's also just. I want you to have to hold that up the whole time, just for the challenge of it. I also brought a thing on a stick, but it's just a pear with tahini because I don't have any marshmallows. Just a
One of us is
spicy
for
pear.
camping and one of us is not.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well,
I'm getting a little toast on it actually.
oh,
Yeah.
see, it will work.
It will. Here,
That is totally like that. What that kind of gives off is the feeling of a childhood birthday party that has a camping theme. Like that's what it is,
yes.
a little candle.
Thinking my blur is gonna do it. No, I
Oh
think
my gosh.
there we go.
Love it.
Okay, I'll try. We'll see. It's on top of my Yeti, which is also very campy.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
Cool.
Well, it's Wednesday morning and we're here with camp snacks and we have some cool things to talk about today. Mainly being continuing on this True North journey together.
Yeah. We've had a bunch of stuff come up in the sessions that we've had. Also, for the folks hanging out, if you end up having like a question or a thought or a thing you just want to throw in or comment, you can always throw it in the chat and try. You can shape the conversation because we're just going to react live. We have not prepped or scripted anything for us. The point of it is to kind of actually just invite you behind the scenes to talk. Actually, we did prep.
To say we
Lie.
prepped.
We prepped. We didn't script it.
We're ready.
That's probably the most true statement. Um, I know where we wanted to start today. We were going to talk about really back about the last session we had was about True North. How do you figure out like a good trajectory and direction for a brand to hold it true and give it room to explore, while also keeping it grounded, but also leaving enough room so that you can actually try things out because it's important to have that opportunity for exploration. You don't want to lock a brand in so it feels like there's no room for it to breathe. So we're going to kind of revisit that as a starting point. Oh, did you just light it on fire?
Did.
Nice. Nice work.
Thanks. Smells great.
Here, a minute. This I think sets the stage in case you weren't there. One of the things that came up in Brand Camp was talking about specifically about this, that a lot of times brands get lost, they make a choice, or they just start to get so varied that you start to lose kind of the integrity of the brand, or you lose a sense of what it is about, what it's trying to achieve. Um, or it just doesn't have a clear central message or feeling that it creates. And so we talked about how important it is for brands to do two things. One, identify a feeling that they want to create for their audience, something that they genuinely do that is distinct, that's part of their relationship, and then also a point of view around that feeling. So it's not just that you want people to feel a certain way, it's also there's a deep held belief that people might disagree with about why that feeling matters. So the thing that we all like, the most obvious example, because I go to it every time, is like the Subaru thing. It's not just about a feeling of love that surrounds all this stuff. It's also that like love is actually the only thing that matters at the end of the day, is a point of view on the world that people could theoretically disagree with. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be friends with the person who disagrees with it, but it is a thing that actually has a stance that could be disagreed with. Maybe there's other important things. Um, so what we wanted to do though is revisit that and get into it a little bit deeper. Is that right? That's right, Rachel?
Yeah, I think the thing that I like about this point of view and feeling the most is that it's both this stake in the ground, this something that anchors you, that keeps you steady.
Mm,
And then the point of view is just something that leads you, right? So you have both this anchor and this like kind of that feeling out there. So I think you
hmm
should have both.
Gotcha. Now, the thing I feel like we have talked about and we've experienced in some situations is that people can take a little bit of issue with this kind of language.
Ooh,
Like it's
yes,
squishy, it's human, it's feely.
yes.
And
Yes.
oftentimes like that feels like when you bring that in, especially actually not, this is a stereotype. It's not actually true because I've seen the
Sure.
exact opposite work out.
Sure.
But like the stereotype is like then you bring it to this like engineer background CEO who's like, you want me to talk about feelings? Um,
Yeah, but feelings sometimes don't get you too far in the boardroom. It's like
yeah.
it's a hard sell because it feels so squishy, and that's why the anchor is so helpful. We'll
Mm,
talk today about like why it's important, why like proving why it's worth talking about and making sure that you have both because truly without them, like I think one of the biggest risks is, I mean, we talked about a lot of risks last time about it to get lost without your true north and your point of view, but or your feeling and your point of view. It's just you can spend a lot of energy like wasting your time, like trying a bunch of different stuff out and yeah. I always think about like my husband and I had a one of our friends is a landscape designer. And
yeah.
he made an amazing plan for our yard. And my husband will go to the like nursery and buy like hundreds of dollars worth of plants for fun and like plant them. And it was so great because he could do that just like knowing that it was all going to grow the right height, right? We still got to do a lot like all the work, but there was definitely a plan in place. We were spinning our wheels and spending a ton of money, on things that were just gonna not be in the right season or not be in the right soil or whatever.
Mm, 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 mm.
It's
I
good.
feel, I think a thing like a this is such a cliche phrase, but I think whenever I hear that conversation about like, oh, feelings, it's at the end of the day, it's about the price tag. It's about this other whatever the other thing is that they want to put in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I do always think of like there is a reason for that cliche of like people never forget the way you make them feel.
Yeah.
Um, which to me is like that's the brand game. It's the long-term thing. It's about the long-term relationship that you're creating every time when you're trying to build your brand.
Mhm.
Because that's the thing that takes you through crisis. That's the thing that keeps you connected. Um, and I really think there's a piece of this like everything that we do is so deeply impacted by the emotions and feelings we have around it. Like
Mhm.
our teamwork's driven by it. The way we feel about an organization that we work for,
Yeah.
and the feelings that it creates, that drives how we interact with each other. How we interact with each other drives how much we enjoy our workplace and the kind of environment we're in.
Yeah.
When you've got a certain kind of workplace and interactions that either create stress or create a different kind of feeling, that changes how your customers experience you when you interact with them. So like it all plays out. I feel like when you start to actually break it down, you realize like at the end of the day, like feelings are absolutely critical because there are humans involved in all this organization and your CX, like your customer experience, your actual brand communication, all of the things are going to be, and not to mention that at the end of the day, for most people, like the actual choice to purchase something, to connect with something and invest in it. Sure, we can kind of try to pretend like we're very logical, but like it plays out time and time again. There's a feeling that we associate with the choice we make, and that's the thing that really gets people to the point of commitment to buy. And oftentimes that's informed by other things, but at the end of the day, it's like I feel this about this one, and therefore I'm going there.
Or it's affirming something in ourselves, which I think it's always an emotional decision to buy anything. And why it's hard to capture that is because like when I reflect back on it, or if I'm like answering a survey of why I purchased something, it's going to be like, well, it was the best price or whatever. And I have all
Yeah,
the rational thoughts right here. And
yeah,
so it's hard to capture of like, yes, that's why we talk about it all the time. This like feel this feeling or the intangibles, we called it, like this idea of it's so hard to capture when reality it's like an expectation you're setting for your brand and for all of the people who are within your company living that out, you know.
I, I have such a good like experience that's specifically around that.
Okay.
Because like that's one of the things that you would totally hear that in like a focus group if you were to ask people like, okay, what drives the decision you made? Like if you ask a very open question like that,
Yeah,
they are for sure going to tell you price. They're going
yeah,
to tell you reliability. They're going to tell you all like those things.
all the stuff.
So I did have like I had a situation where we were doing a focus group. We asked something that was open-ended like that, and we got that kind of routine answer of like, oh, it's the price. It's that we know we can trust it. And I looked at them like, and the person who was saying it had this bottle of Voss water in front of them, which is like glass bottle
The
Voss. I'm
most
like, that is
expensive
not
water.
a price decision that you
No.
like. Clearly, your decisions aren't all governed by that price reliable.
No.
There's something else at play that you don't see. Because I do think like there's the thing that's tricky about kind of an emotional experience is a lot of it's instinctual. A lot of it's almost automatic. We don't actually like we process it in our bodies before we process it in our brain, and so it's hard to describe it.
Mhm. Absolutely.
um, which okay, we're getting really deep on the feeling side, but I do want to like talk specifically about that like feeling and point of view, how we can actually make that useful. So let's just say we've everyone's convinced feelings matter. We want to do this. Like, how can we actually use it? Because it's one thing to say like this is the feeling we want to create, and then it's like, but how does that help me if I know that?
Mhm.
Because I think about organizations that we've worked with. So if I take one that we're going to be talking with like in the near future, the Brian Grant Foundation that works with Parkinson's, it specifically focuses on living well with Parkinson's and has a very communal and active and lifestyle based approach, which is a little different from other people.
Mhm.
If I had to describe the feeling they create and the point of view they have on the world, then I would describe their feeling as this idea of honest hope for one another, which is a little bit different. It's not an internalized hope, it's a hope that's extended externally. And that's a feeling that they want to create for everybody. And then the point of view means is this idea that like seeing each other completely and carrying hope for one another allows everybody to live well. Um, that so
Mhm.
there's like a really powerful thing. Also, they're doing really powerful work, so it's easy to describe it in a
Yeah.
powerful way.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but like when I hear that, that then starts this series of questions like, what does that sound like? What does that look like? How does that make them different from other organizations in Parkinson's? Because there are a number of organizations that deal with this particular thing. Um, and so the nice thing is that I've got some governing principles. It's stuff about community. It's stuff about support. It's stuff about living well, which is different. Like you're not going to lead with statistics on research, even though you have them. You're going to lead with something else. Um, the other thing I really like about their particular point of view on the world, is it's externalized feeling instead of just an internal feeling,
But
which
isn't
in it, yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, isn't it always an externalized feeling? Like
Ooh,
the hope, like if I'm thinking about, even if I'm leading a meeting and I'm thinking about what I want the audience to feel
yeah,
outside of myself, or even if
yeah,
if I'm encouraging, saying like, hey, our feeling that we hope all of our customers receive is X. It's always going to be
yeah, yeah. I
just
feel
something
like that.
a little
I think that
tiny.
the kind of distinction I'm drawing here is honest hope for one another is a feeling that even like the end client, the end
Ah, it
member,
is
the end
hope. It's
person
not
is going
just
to
that
feel
the
for
client
someone
feels
else.
hope, but they feel hope for others also.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm with you.
And like that plays out. You can actually see that like if you visit their website, you can just search Google for Brian Grant Foundation. You're going to find it right away. But you can see how all the messaging kind of plays with that. And kind of it doesn't literally say those words, but you're going to hear it kind of underlying things. Also, just the ethos of the organization. they get real gritty and real about the things that don't work because they know that someone else can carry hope for them in that moment, you
Mm.
know? And that's the cool thing. It's not just like feel hopeful. It's no, like some things are hard,
Yeah.
but
You
someone
can't.
else can help you carry you through that moment and keep you going, you
I'm
know?
I'm just like thinking about, I have young kids and I'm just like, you can't tell anybody to be like, feel happy.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the thing about like that feeling of just like it is the drive, it is the thing that it can help inform, like where you even go, but you can't just like tell people to feel a certain way. That's you have to live it out to create that
Right.
environment to people for people to be invited into that feeling and to experience it. Yeah.
Right. I love it.
Yes.
Do we want to play a little game? Because I feel like that will help us make this really concrete.
Oh, yes. I like that so much. Okay.
Okay.
Go.
Because so I think what we want to do is we need like a type of business to work with.
Okay.
I don't know if our folks who are hanging out here wanted to like give us any kind of business that we could work with.
Yes. Do
Um,
it.
it could be
Let's go.
literally anything. It could be a pizza place. It could be a shoe shop. It could
Toothpaste.
be toothpaste company. That's always fun. I'd love to brand a toothpaste company.
Pottery. I love it.
Oh,
Sydney.
we see pottery. Nice. I love it. Thank you. Oh, Sydney. Also, Sydney. Hi. So cool to see you. Um, so a pottery business. Awesome. So we got a pottery business. And then what we want is a feeling that we're building this from scratch. So we don't have to, normally you want your feeling to very clearly be an authentic thing that's already kind of in your organization that you're amplifying.
Right.
We're making this from scratch. So we just need to choose a feeling that we want it to feel. Um, I don't know. Does anyone have any kind of feeling word? Angry, happy, sad, confident. I don't know. There's a lot of feeling words. We can look them up,
Anxious.
or we could spin the wheel.
Oh,
Let me see.
curious. Yes, that's a
Oh,
feeling word. That's Brandon's favorite feeling word,
it
actually.
is. This is my brand. I love this. Okay.
Yes.
Curious pottery shop.
Oh, I
Okay.
love it. I can already.
So here's the beauty of it, because I think that if you have a feeling you want to create, then the point of view, to me, there's a lot of ways you can get to a point of view statement, and all of these should have freedom, like any good creative process. As something good comes to mind, you should actually let it like follow the trail it creates. But a really easy way to get yourself started is to ask that question of like, why does curiosity matter? Why is this feeling valuable? And you can be like, we can color it by like, why is it valuable in pottery? But we can also just ask, why does curiosity matter broadly? So, Rachel, what do you think? Because I know I already have lots of opinions about curiosity.
I think curiosity matters because it is the key ingredient for people to be unstuck. Like you have to be curious. If I talk about posture all the time, if I'm like this and I'm feeling stuck, whether that's in work or in relationship or self, curious has to have a posture like this. It's looking up, it's looking out, and it's open. So feeling unstuck
Oh my
or not
gosh.
getting unstuck. Curiosity is important because it helps people get unstuck from wherever they are.
Oh, I love everything about that. We're gonna run with it. I'm not even gonna give you a different one because we're gonna run with that.
Hey.
Okay, so pottery company, the feeling is curiosity. Curiosity matters because it's the thing that helps people get unstuck. Already, if you just hand that to a creative team, so much we can make with it.
Yes.
Like, I already immediately see a marketing campaign. I'm like, okay, how do we show pottery helping get people unstuck?
Mhm.
Like, we could show, like, it could be that, like, you can solve anything with pottery. It could be all these moments where, like, we could go absurd with it. We could have a whole bridge that's made out of wood fired clay. We could have people like something in your house broke, and
Mm,
you crafted the piece that actually connected it back together. It's like this. There's
yeah.
all this cool stuff about like something wasn't working, and I fixed it with pottery. Would be
Mm,
like a campaign that would be there because it does it very literally. Like
mhm.
here's something that wasn't working, and we found a way to make it functional again. We found a way to get unstuck from that moment.
Yeah. I like the idea of like it being something that's like curious that it's such a tangible thing. Like it's almost like a
Mhm.
therapy where you're
Oh
like
yeah.
you're needing something.
Work out your feelings.
Right. Or you're looking through stuff, you know, you can like, all right. But I mean, but that's the cool part
But no,
is
but
we
like
have,
an ad that where someone's like this would be like better in a video format or a time-based format, but like an ad where someone's having a hard conversation while doing pottery, the pottery makes it easier.
being curious. I think the other interesting thing about the feeling and point of view for a
Yeah,
company, if it's strong and rooted in values, which they
yeah.
should be, then they will be authentic to you, but they
Hmm.
will also help guide where you shouldn't go. Like this pottery
Yeah.
company isn't going to be creating things that are going to make you feel anxious, they're going to break. Like this isn't, I don't
Yeah.
mind seeing this like a like fine pottery, like very thin and like, you know, afraid to use.
Yeah.
Like,
It would be so that it becomes, yeah, okay. Actually, also really great. You're right. The contrast is it's defining the boundaries for you. Yeah, like what I wouldn't expect to see and what you wouldn't want to do in your ads. You wouldn't want like an image that has like 100 pieces of the exact same shaped, crafted
right.
piece of pottery, and
Oh.
especially like something that's delicate and fragile that you're worried about constantly.
Mhm.
Like that would push against that feeling and it would contradict it. So you'd have a different space, which there are companies that do that side, you know, and that's
Yes.
fine. That's their feeling, but it's not your feeling. You've got something else.
Bringing it back though to what we mentioned in the beginning about how sometimes talking about feelings and point of views
Yeah.
are an emotional space, don't get you very far in the boardroom. If you can see right now, as we're talking about why it's so great to have an entire corporation aligned behind a feeling and point of view, your true north, when you're all marching together behind that, you're creating decisions about what you are not doing
Yeah.
at the company.
Yeah.
Oh, helpful.
Which is so cool. Like that the beauty of this kind of thing is it's I think it's like brand proper is the way I kind of describe it. Like it's
Okay.
not branding in terms of like it's a tool that just a marketing can use. Like it's a tool that starts to shape decisions that you make as an organization. There are business practices. There are things you want to start doing. There are things you want to stop doing.
Mhm.
Uh, and all of that is much bigger than just a marketing effort. But it that creates the integrity you need across a whole organization. That's really helpful.
Yes. So good.
Hmm. I really just want to keep coming up with ideas about a curious pottery company though, because I'm
I know, I'm
really
having a
attached
great
to
time too.
it. No, I mean, I do hope that kind of hopefully at least proves a little bit of a point. Like, and again, like there's a thing here. I think one part of branding, and it depends on what kind of organization you're at. Some people are at an organization where you have like either you have a large, robust staff of people who can really help you, or you don't at all. It's maybe you're a team of one, maybe you're a team of two. Some people have folks who are doing the work at an organization who have like just a ton of creative energy and feel really confident and want to run with things and develop ideas. Awesome. This statement helps them. If you're in a place where you don't feel like you have that organizationally today, this is also a thing that really helps you get more out of the creatives you work with. You offer them this tool, you offer them this statement, and they're going to have they're going to be able to create ideas that actually fit for your brand much more quickly than if you're just like, well, I just want to see something new. Just give me something exciting. Like, no, give me something that matches this feeling and this point of view on the world. And you're going to get something much more specific and much more powerful.
Yeah. Especially younger creatives, sometimes when they're trying to find instead of, I mean, and it can happen again, that trend obsession or the mimic, you
Yeah.
know, it helps define, like we talked about voice, it helps define visuals. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get back from a team like, oh, I found this on Pinterest, I liked it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, it will.
It kind of also it does give you it doesn't center your brand on something that is stylistic. It centers it on a thing where your style can actually shift under it.
Yes.
You know, what creates curiosity for someone in a particular demographic with a particular background is one thing, but a different group might have a different feeling, and it allows you to actually engage each of those while having a unified central idea.
Mhm.
And I do like that because I think it's important. Like the more we can actually personalize and speak authentically to different audiences, that feels really helpful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the idea of having such a nice like compass of where your voice should go and your tone, and even just like helping your employees and staff understand the feeling that the goal is right for every interaction for them. Um, man, it's so helpful, and so it's both grounding and guiding at the same time.
Hmm.
I love that. And I think it keeps you out of playing it safe, right? Because if you that's the thing, like if you don't know where those things are, like the thing that you people just do is just like want to sit back and be safe about it, or and then you start looking like everybody else or sounding like
Yeah.
everybody else or sounding different every time. And I do like this, the brands that harness it well. I feel like I have so much more room to play visually, and at the same time, it can still feel really authentic.
Yeah.
Not consistent, like rigid, but like
Yeah.
really dynamic
Yep.
within those two things. So
That careful balance of focus and freedom is, man, when you find it in a brand, it is life-giving to everybody who's involved in it, you know. So we could talk about this really extensively, and there are a lot of examples. I also really want to like, I love this, Sydney. You're talking about that experience of I just said we need to do this and they just didn't get it. That totally is real. There, a thing that I would like to answer it right now, but we're also running right up at the time.
ooh,
But
okay.
I think the thing that does it really well, we are going to be talking with, we're going to have a podcast coming up soon with, well, actually with Brian Grant Foundation and West Carolina, which is a broadband company. They're more than that. No, I should say that.
Big.
But I think particularly West Carolina is right now going through, just wrapped up a brand process. And it's a really good example of people starting to see the picture of how feelings drive both marketing work and also internal organization values and connection. And so I think I would stay tuned for that because you're going to find, I think you might find some answers and ways to address that. Like what happens when a group of folks don't necessarily get it? How do we help people see? Otherwise, this was delightful, Rachel.
That was so good.
I like talking with you, I guess. You're an
Oh,
all
yeah,
right person to work with.
you're all right. You're I guess, do we have any last questions? Any last wrap ups? Otherwise, we'll call it.
Yeah. You all can always visit askpivot.com/brand-camp for any of our sessions that are coming up. We got webinars, we got videos, we got a podcast coming up soon, um, and some really cool stuff. It's just fun. And it's all completely free. So, you know, costs you nothing. We're just here excited to see people doing great brand
Yes, and people who are curious. I just want to end with this, as we always say in Brain Camp.
Don't burn the marshmallows.
Oh,
Bye bye, everyone.